Ashland's growth has been pretty lopsided. Plenty of young families moved in early, but their kids were still preschool age when we broke ground. Now the oldest of that wave are hitting their teen years, and they have nowhere local to attend high school. So today, we're going to be adding in one of our first schools. We'll also be implementing some of your suggestions today. First up, from Livy Chicken, for the area that's currently on hold for development in our downtown, they were thinking we could put up a fence, some construction materials, and just make it feel more alive. I love that idea, and honestly, I can't believe I didn't think of it myself. Second, they suggested we add in a large sports park in the downtown area with soccer fields, basketball courts, and a football field. And again, great idea, although I'll implement it into the high school as part of one campus. Finally, from Leonardo Moody 4700, a service station behind Hillside for passing through traffic. Another great idea that makes perfect sense considering Hillside doesn't even have a gas station yet. Okay, so welcome back to Ashland. First things first, let's actually check what our requirements are. And we definitely have more eligibility for elementary school than we do high school, but the high school is also that much more massive and much easier to place right now. And it's also easier to integrate with Livy Chicken's idea, which is what I really want to do. Now our money situation is hurting a bit, so I'm just going to go and see if we have anything cranked up, which we don't need. Garbage management, there it is. Okay, we're going to drop this right down to 100%. I feel like we left this at 150% when we only had our landfill, but now we're doing perfectly fine. Same thing with our place in administration, and everything else is looking good. With that, that means we're back in the green. And next episode, this is probably where I'll place the elementary school. For right now, I do just want to focus on the high school because it's so massive that if we implement it now, it'll be so much easier. We won't have to destroy any homes or anything like that. And I'm thinking about placing it right here. I feel like this is a really solid spot, specifically because it breaks up our grid. And I always love breaking up our grid when we can. And really this would just give a lot of accessibility, especially for future bus routes. And for the elementary school, I want to keep it somewhat local into the neighborhood, just because I don't want to have children crossing massive busy roads, because this will eventually be a 4-lane. For our tiles, I'm hoping we can just buy one and make it work. If we need to, we will buy the second one. Design wise, I want to make sure that the soccer field and the football field are kind of all on the same campus and we don't have to cross a road. I feel like that kind of breaks the immersion that it's still part of the same campus. And we do have a really important connector road, so I'm actually going to continue this forward just to make sure that we have some road that carries a good amount of traffic, and it helps you understand where we need to lay out our other roads along with our parks. So now I'm going to place this right here. I'm going to turn the building off for now, just because I want to keep things running to keep generating money, but I don't want to pay for a school that we can't use because we don't have roads. Then I'm going to use the suburban 2-lane road with no markings, and then I'll just connect them right into our pre-existing roads. Now I just want to see what the upgrades are and what space they require. So this one is an add-on, and so is this one. Now hopefully I remember, but if we want to expand, we need to leave room somewhere on the sides, that way we can add them back in. I want to run a path down here instead of a road. Most of the high schools I've personally seen and been to have never had a football field or a soccer field across the road. They've always been part of one campus. In my ideal world, I would use one of the dirt or asphalt paths in Road Builder, but every time I place them down, they seem to disappear. Either way, I'll try again. I'll click on Discover, go over to Pathways, and then you can see that we have our asphalt and our gravel pedestrian path. And I'll use the gravel one, and I'll place it down. Okay, it works. It usually works at the start until I load back into the game. Either way, I think I'll just go with a normal pedestrian path for now. There's a good chance they'll just swap this to be a net lane. Now I'm just going to run our road up just a bit more. I'll keep constant slope on, but overall, I'm not too worried about the grade. Okay, and that doesn't fit. Let's try again. Okay, and this should work perfectly. And I love how there's just a little bit of space behind it, because this will probably turn into a hill anyways, and it definitely did. I think it's reasonable. I don't think it's obnoxious or anything crazy. And then for these back roads, we're going to use the suburban 2-lane road. I like it much better. I think it fits in. Then we'll just extend this all the way down. Looking at the football field, I think something's missing, and that would be our actual surface. Because I use better bulldozer just to delete all of the grass surfaces, It also deletes these ones as well. I wish there was a way just to turn it off for like residential, commercial, office, all of them without affecting buildings like these. I just really don't like the way the residential houses look when there's all that perfect manicured grass. It makes it feel very blocky. Whoa, and I popped up for a second to see what was going on, and there is fires happening left and right. Okay, so we need to increase our budget for our fire in the short term. Clearly, we need to improve it as well. No, don't leave. There's a house right there on fire. Put it out. What are you doing? Okay, we're suing our fire department next episode for negligence. Anyways, I wanted to add a parking lot here. Ideally, they're close to the football field and soccer field. I'm not sure how well this will turn out just because we have that hill there, and you can kind of see it's starting to be a bit janky. Like right on the edge of the parking lot, there's like a dagger poking out. And on this side, the parking lot is pretty much sticking into the ground. So we could landscape this and hide it, or we could do some terrain work and see if that fixes it, and it doesn't. Yeah, definitely. Just deleting it is the better option. And then I'll just run a path from this side over here, and then we'll just landscape this. It doesn't have to be a parking lot right there. I don't want to get too rigid on my thinking. And now to actually add in our soccer field, I'm just going to continue this road up just a bit. I'll delete this little road right here. Then I'll use the complex curve tool and just make a nice sweeping connection in. And then this gives us the ability to place our soccer field. We'll place it right on this road. And of course, I should have turned off Better Bulldozer. If you know me by now, then you'll also know I'm probably never going to do that. I don't know why, but I'll add the surface back in. And I am 50% sure that that's the surface they use. They may use the more manicured checkered grass surface, but honestly, I can't remember. What this leaves us with is a perfect little place to put our parking lot. And the parking lot would be pretty essential in my books just because this would be for game night. This would be for teachers, staff, students. And so I really want to make sure we get this in. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, just the right amount. So we have our little alley road right here, and then we'll just attach our parking to it. We'll turn off the parking fee just because, again, this would be like students, staff, teachers. And if you're coming here for game night, the last thing you want to do is worry about paying $10 for parking. I am going to get rid of all the markings on the soccer field, I guess. Okay, so I'll reset it, and I am going to get rid of all of the homeless tents. I am sorry, homeless people. If I had a better place for you to stay in this game, I would make it, I promise you. But you're just ruining my brand new park, and it's pretty unreasonable. Now I want to add in a surface. I could just use the manicured grass surface, but I find it starts to look a little bland if you use it too much. And I feel like these could fit very well, but it just depends on how we're using them. I also think there's a way to layer the clovers, the grass, and maybe even the moss on top of each other to create something that feels natural and real. And this is future Josh here. I spent about 50 minutes trying to make this work, and the surfaces could be so frustrating sometimes. If you pull them too close together, then you get rid of one. If you accidentally overlap one or you pull it in the wrong way, you delete the entire path. And I was just going too crazy on this. As you can see in the background, I'm really struggling to get all three surfaces to fit. I felt like I was trying to take a shortcut by doing this, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. So I'm just going to skip ahead. Wow, these surfaces are driving me insane. I don't know why they have to be so frustrating sometimes. I wish there was a way to lock surfaces in place so I couldn't touch them ever. Like if there's a path, I want to lock it. That way, even if I overlap it or even if I mess with it, it overrides. This probably won't be the final design, but I need to take a break from surfaces before I have a stroke. I'm going to fix up this parking lot just a bit, make it make more sense. Okay, so I just added a few paths from the parking lot. Now I really imagine this asset right here to be some sort of club, either game club, whatever club it may be, but it does feel like it could be part of the school. I wish there was just a bit of room to add this in without having to place it across the road. So I think I'll probably just add this in afterwards. And those surfaces really did torment me. So I'm going to take a break and go work on the service station over in Hillside. Now there's three ways we could do this. One, we could make it on the inside of the Hillside community. So its back would be facing the highway. The only problem with that is there is a significant grade right here. So we'd have to do a lot of blasting. Second option being that we could make it a part of the highway, so it's not actually touching a community or anything. And then the third option is we can add it in right here. And I like the idea of doing it somewhere along this side of the road. This still is a connector, so it does have a lot of traffic, and it would have easy access to the community, so there's people to go work at the gas station or the service station. So I'm going to start by deleting the trees. Now I want to snap to the zoning grid and just draw in one of these parking roads. I'll use this to understand what my exact dimensions are. I want to try and make both sides symmetrical if I can. Now with an alleyway and the complex curve tool, I'm going to go over 3, down into the highway, and then up 3. Same thing over here, over 3, down into the highway, over 3. Then I'll convert this back to the right way. Now I love the parking, but I want it to be on the other side, and I can't do that unless I reverse the road. So I'm just going to use Road Builder and just change which side the parking is on. And to stop the traffic from prioritizing this road, I'm going to drop the speed limit probably down to 25 kilometers per hour. And now I just want to use the alleyway and just come up just the slightest bit, or I'll start from there, and I want to give us a lot. And this is where the gas station will go. I don't know if this will be its final size, but I want to check some gas station assets and see which one fits in the cleanest here. And I like this one, so this is what I'm going to go with. I'm going to specifically place it at level 5, and I'm going to lock it. I don't want any abandonment. I don't want any future issues. And that's because I'm going to torture myself just a bit more by adding more surfaces. You'll see when it's done, and hopefully the payoff is worth it. Starting over here, I'm going to place our grass surface, and really this will be like our center stage piece. This is what will attract everyone. Some manicured grass and a few signs. We'll place our gas station sign and our pylon here, and we'll also add a little path to the pylon, just because I see a lot of gas stations do that. And there we go. I mean, for a path and a pylon, it works for me. It does it. And this is where the torture is going to begin. I want to run basically a slightly transparent surface over the roads, so it'll be slightly darker. And why this is torture is because I've done this in the past, and usually the outcome is really, really nice, but it can be torture to align it with the other surfaces, because once you start touching another surface, they're connected and you have to try and break them somehow. But I'll do this. We'll see how it looks. Hopefully it's worth it. Okay, I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. I think it turned out exactly how I wanted to. The only thing I want to change here is the gas station surface, just because it doesn't match with what our alleyway road is. And reasonably, these would all be the exact same asphalt type of material. And after playing around with this for about 5 minutes, I finally got to a place where it's almost identical. It's not perfect, but I'm happy to let it be. The dark surface is too dark and the light surface is too light, so it was a lot of messing around with to finally get it to be this. And now I'm just struggling to get those last little pieces of the surface to go all the way over. I could just ignore it, but it would haunt me forever. So I'm just going to keep trying to pull it gently, hopefully not overlapping the surface, hopefully not overlapping the sidewalk either. It can really be frustrating sometimes. Okay, there we go. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, I'm not really happy with how that looks. There's obviously a few more things I need to touch up. I also want to add one of the actual gas station signs to the other side as well. And now I really love the way this is shaping up. I just want to delete this sign over here, add in some manicured grass surfaces, and then just extend the walkway in the back, have it touch the road. It just makes more sense. So far, looking really good. Okay. I probably won't add any plants there. I just feel like it would be a bit overwhelming. But now that I'm looking at these surfaces, I do see a little bit of jank. You can see right there, it just needs to be pulled out just a bit. So I'll clean up the rest of the surfaces. Okay, and last but not least, there's a tiny little piece right here. And I'm not sure how far to extend this out. I guess you could really extend it out far, you could extend it out not... No. No. Okay, time to play a game of let's snap my fingers and this will be done. Now I just want to add a bunch of trees into the back, make it nice and dense, make it heavily landscaped, feel like there's a forest back there. I don't know why, I just love the trees. Overall, even though I've spent a lot of my time today fighting with surfaces, I've really loved what I've done so far. And even this right here, it's something small, but it feels special, it feels unique. And because of that, I love it a lot. I almost want to go and just make the pavement surfaces just the slightest bit darker. But at this point in time, I'm happy with what it looks like. I'm happy with where it's at. And I'm not even going to bother with it for at least 20 episodes. Returning back to Ashland, and all I see is fire after fire. And clearly we need to fix this right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade the fire station. This will give us 4 more fire engines. Costs a decent amount, but honestly we need this. This will be more of a band-aid than an actual fix. What we really need is a fire station closer to the area so it can serve it more efficiently and faster. And now that we're back, I have a much more clear head. I've taken a break from this area for a bit. And I'm just going to try and tweak the surfaces just a bit, maybe go along the fence a bit more. But really, I'll let the comments decide. Should it be the manicured grass surface? Should it just be no surface? Should it be one of these weirder green or moss or clover surfaces? My original thought process was the outside grass would probably be a bit more manicured, whereas the grass where the students are walking on inside probably wouldn't be as manicured and might even look a little bit rough. Now, I think it makes sense to have some parks on the side. If you're at school, you could study here. If you're walking by or you're at the game, you could come here and relax. Just really green spaces for the people who are going to be using this space anyways. And it also makes sense to connect this path directly right in. The more I looked at some of these areas, they almost felt too dense in terms of the trees. There should be trees, but it shouldn't feel overly dense, like we're in a forest, because this is kind of our downtown-ish area. And the same thing applies to here too. This would be an amazing place to have benches and just pocket parks along here. And to me, it just makes a lot of sense, especially because we'll have bus routes coming through here. And I imagine this one will be one of our most popular destinations and trips. And having these places to sit while you wait for your bus or to hang out with your friends or do whatever you do. I wish my high school had an area like this. When you were waiting for your bus at my high school, it was essentially you go, you sit down. There's not even a curb to sit on. There's no sidewalk. So you're pretty much just sitting down on the ground waiting for your bus. And your bus was always late. And you could walk home faster. So it just got to the point where I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to walk home. There's no point. There's no point. Taking the bus just to get there even later than if I just walked home is just the worst. But if I had a place like this, it probably would have been a lot better. Okay, just putting the finishing details up, I matched the surface from the paths in the school to the paths here. I added a few more little parks, and overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It actually feels like somewhere you could hang out. Now over here, I want to do something similar, but this time I just want to keep it very simple. We'll place this down, we'll draw out our path, and then we'll just add a few trees. Now I'll get rid of the fences, I'll get rid of the trees in this school, I'll re-add everything in, I'll finish all the landscaping around the parking lot and the soccer field and the football field. Two things left to do. One, I'm gonna add this building, gonna run a path around it, I'm gonna fix up the surfaces, and then I'll add in our manicured grass surface, and then we're gonna turn that little on hold development place into a construction site. And there we go. There's our high school campus. I love it. It took way too much work. I mean, way too complicated, but the end result was definitely worth it, and I love it. Last but not least, let's turn this little on-hold development area into a proper construction site. And what can I say other than I think this is really cool. I really like the idea, and I think we could even take it a step further by evolving it as time goes on. So maybe in a few episodes, there'll be some cranes, there'll be some different materials, there'll be some buildings, stuff will actually be getting built rather than what we have now. And with that, we are officially done. So we built a nice little service station / gas station. We finally built our high school, which was really needed. And we added a nice little construction site that will evolve over time. I really appreciate it if you made it this far. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one.